Guys, welcome to the first episode of Thoughts in Motion, and you'll be asking yourself, what's Ameer and Nadeem up to now? So basically, we know that there's a lot of conversations happening out there, and people are talking in perhaps different groups or different settings about mental health and well-being and how it's affecting their community or their particular maybe types of groups. And so Nadeem and I were talking about how do we as Urban Community Project kind of help contribute towards those conversations. How do we make sure that we're talking about them and that we're inviting people into those conversations in the right way? And so we thought, rather than go about it the traditional podcast studio way, we thought, why don't we jump into the car, set up some cameras, microphones, and just start talking about the different things that are happening in today's world. It will generally be about mental health and well-being, but I'm not saying that it will be largely scripted just to that. And the hope is that we'll get some people involved as well. Car's obviously got 5 seats. And if I ever get a 7-seater, maybe we'll have 7 seats, I don't know. But eventually we'll be able to get people on board and we can talk about different types of topics that come up. And if you're watching this and there's any particular topics that you want us to address or have a discussion about, then feel free to put those in the comments as well. Now, the full episodes will be available on our YouTube channel, and any of the snippets that you see on our social media channels like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, you know that you can watch the full clips on YouTube. So anyway, for those of you who don't know, because I can't assume that everyone obviously is going to know who I am, my name is Ameer and I'm one of the co-founders at Urban Community Project here in Glasgow. And today I'm very fortunately joined by Nadeem, one of the other co-founders. And to be honest, on the way to picking Nadeem up today, I sat and thought about what kind of introduction can I give Nadeem? And the truth is, the list is too long. The list is too long in terms of the amount of work that Nadeem does, the amount of kind of titles and all the rest of it. So I thought, maybe Nadeem, do you want to give people a background as to who you are and what you're doing just now?
Hi everyone. By the way, we're in Glasgow, not in Spain. I know the sun's blazing. I'm driving through Govan Hill. My name's Nadeem, and I like Ameer said, I'm the co-founder of Urban Community Project. I do counselling, so I'm a counsellor, psychotherapist, support adults and young people, and half of my time is also spent on Urban Community Project and what's going on in society around, especially in Scottish society, or more so locally. How do our Muslim young people and young people generally as well from the black and minority ethnic community, how they're affected in everyday life. And the project's idea is just to reduce any mental health kind of challenges and get young people to lead on it. That's the kind of ethos. That's what we want. We want more youth to take that baton on, and in the next 10 years, I want to retire, Ameer wants to retire, and we just want young people to kind of tell us, okay, this is what's going on. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think, Nadeem, one of the good things to probably kick off with is, because I can't presume that everyone who's going to see this are going to be people from the kind of BAME and black and ethnic minority sort of audience. And I remember very early on when we kind of kicked off Urban Community Project, people were asking the question, like, why does the black and ethnic minority community need their own kind of individual services? Why can't they just accept the help that's out there already? Like, almost that sort of what's so special about them. And I guess unless you're actually from that background or work within that background, because there will be people who are not from black and ethnic minority backgrounds but work within it that understand the challenges. But can you give me, like, what are the reasons why mainstream sort of traditional Western kind of processes and therapies don't work for people in our backgrounds?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I think when we first started Urban as well, I remember I got a call from someone who worked for the council, and quite an important person, not going to mention who it was, and that's what she said. She said, well, if you want to kind of have a long-term sustainable project, then you should be kind of not just for your community, but for everyone and anyone, because that way you'll get more money, more partnerships, etc. Right? The thing is, I've grown up in this country, so have you, right? And wherever you go, you can take it from a population perspective. We are a minority. That's a fact, right? There's last time I checked, I think in Scotland, I think we're sitting at about 5%. Maybe that's increased a little bit. In Glasgow, we're about 15 to 17% of young people and people from black and ethnic minorities, including the Muslim community as well. It's race, it's racial justice, it's systemic kind of systems, etc. I mean, I don't want to use too much jargon, but basically when somebody goes to somebody of colour or somebody who's a minority, they access any service, whether it be employment, whether it be mental health, whether it be health, any of these things, right? We are judged, we are looked at differently, and I'm not saying that everyone in Scotland's racist. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that it's really important for representation. So, you know, you've got language, you've got culture, you've got faith, you've got disability, you have like LGBT, you have gender identity. So all the kind of protective characteristics, the Equalities Act that we have in Scotland, which we're very lucky to have, that's a kind of protection for us overall. But actually, in a grassroots perspective, on the ground, the everyday things that happen to people that are from minority communities, it's the third sector, it's the voluntary sector that has they have. I mean, we're not massive, we're not huge, and we try to work with bigger organisations, national organisations, so we can say, look, here's what people are telling us.
So see, when people are coming from like,
yeah,
when people are coming from like kind of Western therapy, so I know that through the time that we've spent together with Urban Community Project, you know, CAMS comes up quite a lot, right?
Yeah.
And obviously we know the challenges around waiting times and whatnot, but actually if we look at the therapy itself, am I right in saying that there'll be quite a number of people who have been, I mean, we're talking young people here who have been through the CAMS cycle and process, but just have not managed to kind of have their problems solved or work through their problems just because of a lack of understanding around the culture and sort of backgrounds?
There's a lot of young people that I think predominantly the ones that are under 16 from the kind of people that we work with that are on the waiting list. Some of them have seen or are seeing something from CAMS, but then it's kind of short term.
Right.
And sometimes it doesn't work out for the family. So the family are like, you know what, this is not what we expected, and we need a little bit more. And what that more usually is they come they come to a project like ours and they say, look, we need a sense of belonging for our child. Like, we live in a local area where there isn't much belonging. There isn't much we feel out of place.
Yeah.
Or then you've got this. It's quite complex. I mean, then you've got the political element as well, like what's happening in society, like the stuff that you're really kind of working hard on. The hate, it does exist. That's the reality. The other side, from a mental health point of view, it's the fear. It's the fear of something bad's going to happen. It's that anxiety, and then that stops. I mean, I don't know if people will believe this, but honestly, there's some families that haven't even registered their themselves to a local GP. They haven't, they don't access mainstream services. They don't. They're really scared. Still to this day, there's a huge fear about social work. We don't fit in. We don't fit in certain clubs, like for extracurricular activities. That's the kind of like the community aspect, and then in schools as well. Like, we've done some work in schools over the years, and schools are busy. The teachers are trying to do their best, and there isn't much representation from an ethnic background or a Muslim background. And what I mean is in senior leadership, they're trying, but then that has a huge effect on the young person and their family and what's going on at home. So there is platforms now, there is forums where there is space for us to get involved, but that's kind of the idea of the project.
It's interesting you mentioned education there and teachers, because and absolutely we're not here to criticise any efforts or work that anybody's doing on the ground, and actually any of the challenges that a lot of these professions are facing are not through a lack of trying on the ground, i.e. the teachers. It comes from a kind of bigger picture and a bigger issue. But one of the things I've been wondering is that when you look at teachers in general, now I'm talking about from, you know, as a father of three daughters that are, you know, 2 of them are now in secondary school, and I'm having those conversations with them when they come home from school, and I'm asking, did, you know, any teachers mention this, or have you had a topic about that? And largely they're saying no, and it feels like, you know, there's maybe a sense of fear from a teacher's perspective as to what they're allowed to say, how they're allowed to come across. You know, certain topics are now kind of, I don't know, they're politicised, and it becomes a sort of, we can't say that because it might come across like this, or we can't say that, rather than trying to kind of have those direct conversations. I don't know, like, do you think that's something that's an issue?
I think that's been there all the time.
Right.
I think like as time is going on, like, you know, like there is schools that are trying to bring in things around like anti-racism and topics like history and English and you know, like PSE, that kind of thing. And you know, Scotland overall, they are trying to be much more. I mean, I think we're doing a much better job than down south, to be honest. But obviously, Reform have now. I mean, that's another story. They're starting to come forward, but yeah, it's always been there. Like I think if you speak to a head teacher, or if you speak to like a senior leader in schools, right, what they'll say is, look, our main role is for your child to be educated. That's what we get paid to do. That's, you know, they're bound by the councils, right? Anything that happens in the world around that, society and things like that, we want our young people to, you know learn about, you know, what's the history of Africa, the history of Palestine, the history of the Muslim world. But I don't think that's going to happen unless we have more young people that you know, and that are more aware of these things. And I think that, like, that's one of the things about our project. And there's other projects there as well, like from the black community there. You know, there's loads of amazing stuff going on up and down the country where more awareness is starting to get raised about what's happening, like in the, you know, what's happening in history and what's happening in the present time. And, you know, you can see, like, in Scotland, like with the protests and stuff and what happens around the world. And then, you know, our kids, they ask questions, I've never knew anything about this. And then you can have a conversation at the dinner table. The reality is that we have got a lot of work to do in people's homes. Because most of the people that come through our doors are the ones that are really struggling to even engage with their kids. Like, so that's the type of
and is that's not, you're not just saying that through a lack of language, i.e., you know, parents you're talking about engage with your kids, just even born and bred parents here that are just not able to connect with their children.
So what's happened over the years is mum and dad are both working now, so our older generation put a lot of effort into us to say, you know, you're in this country, we want you to be, you know, really educated, well educated, right? And I'm not even talking about super academic, but just have a decent life, not the life that our previous generation where they were working like 60, 70 hours a week, maybe more than that, just to get by, and they came from a different country. But what's happened is that parents, like, you've got parents that have got professional jobs, mum and dad both, and then what they do is that they've got as their kids are getting older, they're putting them into clubs, like, you know, different sports clubs or tuition and things like that. And there's no grandparents at home. That's another thing that's changed. So like for me, for example, when I was growing up, I had my gran with me since day one. That's very rare now. So the dynamic within the family home has completely changed. Extended family, you only see extended family like maybe on Eid, or maybe, you know, like in Ramadan when you bump into the masjid. You don't people are living in kind of different suburban areas and things like that. So because of that, you have like a 12-year-old who is kind of like, if you know, they're not really seeing mum and dad all the time. The only time they maybe spend time with mum and dad is maybe when they go on holiday or things like that. So I'm not blaming the parents, and I'm not saying it's the young person's fault. It's just the way it is, and it's for me. I think both the parents and also the young person, they both need support. They both need help. They come to us right at the end. Right. They come to us when they've tried everyone else. They've went to, but the pattern seems to be that they try to support their whatever issue or challenge that's going on without linking in with statutory services, which again is fully understandable, because especially if they're you know, it could be linked to like, that's shameful, what are people going to say, or it could just be, you know, what are they going to do, how are they going to help us? They don't understand our culture, they don't understand our faith.
Do you think it's getting better though, Nadeem? Do you think people are in our community starting to realise now that they need to ask for the right help? And I'm going to use the word right there, because one of the key things that we used to see a pattern of was people reaching out to the wrong type of help. And I'm not saying wrong as a criticism of the person they're speaking to, but they're going to someone who's not a specialist in that particular field. You know, we've often spoken about how it's the importance of religious leaders and people in our kind of faith centres actually having the skills and the training to be able to deal with complex issues, or even mild to more complex issues. That some parents have the opinion that just send my child to the local masjid or whatever it might be, and they'll sort them out type of thing. Do you feel there's a shift? Do you think people are getting better and realising that actually no, we need to be a wee bit more careful? You wouldn't send a child to the doctor to get their teeth checked, and we need to make sure we're being careful about where we send them.
I was talking to someone yesterday, someone I was working with, an adult, and what I was saying to this person, she was asking, like, you know, is it only people that are, you know, not professional and everyday kind of workers that have challenges in their life? And I said no. I said that happens to every single person. Every single person, whether they're a professor in a university, to the average kind of person that works in a shop. To answer your question, it's when a challenge, like a trial happens in anyone's life, they usually seek the person that they trust. Right, okay. Whatever the situation is. So sometimes that might be the imam in the mosque. Sometimes that might be like, you know, like the neighbour, or it might be a family member that, you know, that family member's the kind of the person that usually sorts everything out.
Right.
So that happens first, and then the next stage is whatever advice they get or whatever route, the path they take. And the problem just stays. It's tough. It's not easy. It's difficult. So there's so many things that we get. We get young people, like we've got things like neurodiversity. We've got same-sex attraction. We've got, you know, addiction, like drugs and alcohol. We've got like nitrous oxide gas and stuff. So there's new challenges now that are coming through where, you know, parents that are maybe a couple of years older than me, they're not even, you know, like very much like us, born and bred. They've got teenagers or young adults, and they're just like, you know, we've went to everyone and nobody seems to know, and now we're coming to you. Nobody understands how should we kind of manage this? How should we've tried the religious route, and, you know, that's good. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I think that it's about finding a balance.
Yeah, I think coming back to the point about the right and the wrong people, and making sure that, you know, young people in particular, anybody who's vulnerable, is put in front of the right person. One of the other things is kind of therapists that are coming up, and this is something that, you know, again has come up in a few discussions that you get. You know,
oh no, what have we done now?
No, not therapists as a blanket thing, but just generally, there's a lot of you know, weekend intensive courses that you can do. There's like long weekends that you can pick up certain accreditations, and actually a lot of people are kind of missing that fundamental kind of foundational understanding and learning. And you know, it's, I don't know, I mean, I'm trying to compare it to any other type of profession. I mean, I don't want to get, you know, blasted for this, but there was a period of time where everyone used to come out as makeup artists, because people would go away, they would do a 1 week course, they'd come back, and suddenly they're you know, they're a fully fledged, and there was an issue with that, because people were like, well, you've not really actually done enough training, you've not had enough experience, you're, you know, and you're dealing with people's big days. Whereas when we're talking about the therapy element, people going away, doing a long weekend, 4 days, 5-day course, and then almost presenting themselves as a qualified therapist, and taking on cases that are way out of their depth, that must be an issue out there as well.
It's still a big problem, yeah. It's still a big problem. There's a lot of let's just call them mental health experts or practitioners that are online, and they're influencers, and they're selling and to be honest with you, there's some counsellors that are qualified and therapists that are also getting trapped into that. So they're paying for these kind of whatever they're offering. But for anyone, like, see, the thing is, UK wide, it's when you're a psychotherapist or a counsellor, it's not the same as being a psychologist. So a psychologist or a psychiatrist, it's, you know, you're fully kind of it's a statutory thing. It's part of, you know. But what if you do ever go to a counsellor or a psychotherapist, just ask them, just say, look, what's your qualification?
People should be afraid to do that.
No.
To ask that.
Ask them, like, what accredited body are you a member of? Ask them, like, where did you study? What did you study? And, you know, if the person's completely genuine, and they're, you know, they'll be more than happy to kind of show you, here's my insurance, I'm a membership of this organisation. So do your kind of due diligence on anyone. There's a lot, I mean, unfortunately, there's a lot of people, men and women both, that are charlatans out there. And the thing is, in this country, you can call yourself a counsellor. If you do like a course which is even like a CBT course, a mini one, or a counselling course. But so yeah, you need to be careful. I think, like, I've done, like, just to get the title of psychotherapist, about 4 years of study, and I'm still studying. But that's me generally. I don't want to speak for myself, but there's a lot of people out there that are good counsellors, that are good psychotherapists, and they've been doing it for a long time. And in our community, when I speak to my colleagues, it is a frustration, but to be honest, it doesn't last. Like, either the patient or the client, they figure it out. They're just like, you know what, you know, you're not actually helping me, and it's a shame. But all we can do is kind of raise more awareness around that, and just say, look, ask, you know, don't be afraid of asking. Don't just go with what you see online as well. If you've got like a good feeling about someone, actually, you know, double check, ask someone else, is this person legit or not.
I think, like, when we're looking at the kind of topics and kind of issues that the community are facing, one of the ones that, and it's not any more important than another one, but one of the ones that I'm seeing here is that just now, as you kind of briefly touched on, and we'll save it for another episode, the whole kind of rise of reform and whatnot, but again, that whole belonging and identity stuff as well. I mean, that's another, and this clip is obviously, this first episode is more of an introduction to give people a flavour for what they can expect, but one of the things that I'm sure we'll be able to pick up on in one of our episodes, will be talking about you know, how people are struggling with that sense of, do I actually, you know, belong in this country? Do I feel like I belong in this country? what does that future look like? I mean, I certainly wonder, what does that future look like for my children? So there are a lot of kind of factors that are playing into the young person's mind these days. And the truth is, as a parent myself, I don't know. I don't believe I've got all the answers to that for my children, because I'm still not sure myself what the future looks like. And as a parent as well, we're also kind of processing in our own mind as things are changing and things are developing. So I don't know. It just feels a bit of a
see kids, right? Yeah. They feed off their parents.
Yeah.
They feed off their parents' anxieties and they feed off their parents' energy. So if the parents are wondering or processing that, do I really belong here?
Yeah.
Should I be worried? Should I? Even if you think the kids don't know, trust me, they know. Yeah. You can't hide anything from them, especially like if they're 5, 6 and above. So we're a big advocate of, like the solution to any young person's challenges is with the parents.
Yeah.
Even if the parents are hard work, even if the parents are challenging for us, or for anyone else, right? Whatever's going on, even between the mum and dad, if they're going through a divorce or separation, from a psychotherapy perspective and also from a cultural Islamic perspective as well, the solution lies with working with the parents, whether that's a single parent or both parents, because like our Ustad Shokan, he taught me this, everything starts at home, and the more I've been in this work, the more deeper and challenges that we get, it makes more sense. So I worked with this family, right, and the mum and dads, they were taking their kids to the protests and the marches, and then unfortunately there was a guy who was a racist, and he started attacking them. They witnessed it. It wasn't them directly, and because of that situation, their child just didn't want to go out at all. Didn't want to go to school, didn't want to go, leave the house, anything, right? And they spoke to the school, they spoke to the GP, they did all that, and nothing was working. And when they came to us, and we kind of looked at everything, we said, look, we cannot do this without you sitting in the room with us. See this thing about, we'll just work with a young person. Yes, we will.
Yeah.
But see, initially, we need to do a few sessions with the parents as well. And the reason why is because what we worked out, the evaluation, and this was the thing that the parents kind of turned around and said, oh, you know what, we didn't even realise it was that incident that caused it. That was the root cause. And what had happened is a few days after, like the mum was affected by it and the dad was also affected by it, but they were trying to hide it from the child. But the child clicked on that actually, you know what, I don't belong here.
Yeah.
But they didn't have the right kind of words and labels, and it was kind of coming out as because with kids is usually how they behave.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't have the right words to express how they feel, and they need. So it was interesting. So that whole family kind of turned around and said, you know what, we're all actually scared.
Yeah.
We're all scared, and but why should we think like that we don't belong here?
Yeah.
We do belong here.
Of course.
We do. Our accent when we go to a different country.
Yeah.
We're Scottish.
Yeah.
The people come up to you, they chat to you. It's just. That's just another minority group, innit?
Yeah.
Just
of course.
You can't just. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So I think in terms of episode 1, I think we can wrap it up there. We've had a discussion. Hopefully, if you're watching and you've been watching to this point, you'll realise that the whole concept here is to really just have those kind of open discussions about what's happening out there. And the truth is, we could probably go on for another 4 or 5 hours talking about each and every one of those kind of issues that are coming in, but then there would be no point in creating this channel or podcast. So please, if you're watching this now, remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Share it with anyone that you feel would benefit from hearing these conversations, and look out for episode 2. Take care.